My name is Kyla Marie Marquardt. I am 12. I was born February 26th. I like to read, taekwondo, and I like playing the marimba and the snare drum. I like reading adventure books. I like most of the popular books like Divergent and Hunger Games. I have a black belt in taekwondo. My family is made up of 5 people, including my little brother who recently passed away. He had GM1. If I could tell people a couple of things about William, I'd probably tell them he was a little boy that was diagnosed with GM1, but he loved music, and he always opened his eyes wide whenever his family members came in the room or kissed him, and we always stroked his arms. I enjoyed reading with William the most. I really liked to read him The Magic Treehouse, though I never got finished with the second book with him anyway. But I like to read generally. If there are 3 words I could use to describe William, they would be green, his favorite color, stinker, and spirit. He's very spunky. William, he needed a lot of care 24/7. So we had to hire nurses, and we had to give him food in a different way. We had to use a feeding tube that's feeding him directly to his stomach instead of chewing, because he couldn't chew at that point. His muscles wouldn't work correctly. So I was 5 when William was diagnosed with GM1. When I was younger, I was upset that he was stealing all the attention, and it's very selfish of me, but it's normal to think like that when you're like 5, 6, 7. Then as I got older, I wanted everyone to know. I wanted to make a change and that stuff. And then as I got older, it just kind of became the norm for me. And it was surprising to go into people's houses and have sleepovers without nurses all night long. And not exactly surprising, but it was odd for me. I had friends come sleep over here too, but they all knew about William, and I wasn't ashamed or anything. Just my little brother. They asked questions occasionally, and some of them said, "I feel so bad for him," and things like that. I have friends that I feel particularly close to. I would share almost everything about William. Not like all of it, just because it's way too much to cover, but I told them about it. One of my friends didn't really understand, and that made me upset, but she didn't really understand the magnitude and how I could have feelings for William when he kind of just sat there, which really hurt, but all my other friends did. Truthfully, it made me feel about William, having a brother like William, it made me feel like I knew more than them in a way, like I could relate to more things that way, and I was more down to earth than them because of it. I let my class know what was happening with William. I'm in 4th grade. I made a PowerPoint and presented it to the class. It made me feel pretty good about educating the class about William. Of course, didn't do very much because I didn't understand it very well, but they felt really bad, and they just looked at him like it was something to get out of work, basically. They did feel bad, but to an extent, because didn't really get it. It was very hard for me to go to school when he had an infection or his friends passing on, or just every day it was hard almost, because that thought of going home and he's gone always haunted me. Yeah, I was worried if I was at school and I wouldn't be able to say goodbye to him. I handled that worry by going to the school's guidance counselor, she's like my best friend, almost. Miss Freeze, we called her. And she's really nice and she helped me. I ended up going and volunteering for the kindergartners during my related arts time. And I helped them do all these fun projects with goo and paint, and I helped teach them how to read. It helped me take my mind off the worry. When I'd come home from school and come into the house, the first thing my mom says to me is, "Go take your clothes off and change them and then wash your hands." Because we didn't want to get William sick with like the common flu or something, the common cold. And he had this to deal with, it'd be terrible for him. He has so little resistance because his cells don't work in the right way in some places. It was hard for me to worry about bringing germs into the house all the time. So it was very difficult because my mom freaked out if one of my friends got sick, and then I wanted them to come over, even if it was a little, like runny nose. I had a lot of days where it was a struggle, and I would talk about it with my mom, and I actually have a lot of them now, almost every day, and I've been trying not to go to the guidance counselor every day, like limiting myself to once a week, basically. Close family friends and family could be really helpful when you're having hard times, and especially if you go to a trip where a lot of family lives, or if your family lives near you, it's really helpful just to have them around and talk to them, having accessibility to them. It feels good to talk about my little brother William, and challenging at the same time. Like, it makes me think about good times and bad times that we had with him. It also makes my throat dry. What made me most proud of being William's sister was I got to experience something in life that I couldn't have without him. And he really helped with like everything almost. It just made me feel good being around him, hanging out with him sometimes. If I were to have to give advice to siblings that have brothers and sisters like William, I would probably say just spend as much time as you can with them. Like, it's okay if you don't have the time, but when you do, it's nice to go hang out around them even, is